He started saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." I realized that he was bleeding profusely from the face.
What I found around here was a lot of blood, and that tells me it was definitely an attack.
I didn't hear the wolf coming, I didn't see it, just no sense at all that it was there until it was actually on my head.
Wolf attacks aren't very common, but when they do happen, we rarely leave unscathed. Today we'll uncover some of the worst in history. How did investigators know a wolf was stalking Kenton? Why shouldn't you howl in wolf territory? And how did one man save a family from a wolf attack? Wolves are found across North America, Europe, and Asia. They've adapted to many habitats from forests to mountains, deserts, and wetlands. The gray wolf is the most common and deadliest of wolves. Just ask Liam Neeson. On average, wolves weigh 100 pounds and stand 2.5 feet at the shoulders. Powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth allow them to rip through muscular moose. So just imagine what they can do to you. As social hunters, they're often found in packs ranging from 4 to 15. In extreme cases, packs can be as small as just 2, but as large as 30 wolves. Most human interactions happen when wolves attack livestock or domestic pets. But in wolf country, a simple walk in the woods could turn deadly.
I had my flashlight panning back and forth, and when I panned back, you could see eyes looking at you.
Kenton Carnegie, a 22-year-old honors geological engineering student at the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada, was doing a co-op at a mining camp near Wollaston Lake in the province of Saskatchewan. On November 8, 2005, around 3:30 p.m., Kenton decided to walk along the lake, but told camp workers he'd return by 5. He was an avid photographer and wanted to capture a few nature shots. At 6:15, with no sign of Kenton, camp members Todd Svarkoff and Chris Van Galder, along with camp co-owner Mark Eichel, decided to head out and look for him. It was dark, with temperatures below freezing and wildlife known to be roaming the area. There were many possibilities for what could have happened, but they hoped he just got lost. The group saw Kenton's tracks heading down a trail toward the lake, and then doubling back toward camp. They also saw a set of wolf tracks behind them. He was being stalked. Not far from the tracks, Eichel, using a flashlight, spotted what he thought might be a body. He ordered everyone to head back to camp. The RCMP was quickly notified, and Eichel, along with another camp worker, Robert Dennis Burseth, and his wife, Rosalie Sanny Burseth, the local coroner, were brought to the scene. Sadly, they confirmed it was Kenton's body. With his ribs and flesh exposed, it was evident Kenton was the victim of a gruesome attack. Eichel and the Burseths met the RCMP back at the campsite to guide them to the spot where they found the body. But what happened next caught everyone off guard.
I knew that something was nearby. I know it, you feel it.
Kenton's body was gone. A trail of blood made it ominously clear that whatever attacked Kenton was still nearby. To make matters worse, while the search party was trying to relocate his body, they heard wolf howls.
When I heard that, I never normally get chills down my spine, but I did that night.
The pieces of what happened were slowly coming together, but a full investigation was still needed.
This is the site where they found the body here. So when I came on site, he was about 2 feet down that way. What I found around here was a lot of blood, and that tells me it was definitely an attack.
An autopsy revealed that Kenton died from a bite to the neck, but they were still uncertain as to what was responsible. And with his body dragged several feet away, some investigators thought it was the work of a bear. But based on the accounts of the camp witnesses, the RCMP officers, and the prints in the snow, it became clear that at least 2 wolves attacked him. Kenton's footprints appeared more spread out after he turned back for camp, suggesting he started to run. I mean, can you blame him? Unfortunately, running from wolves is one of the worst things you can do. Wolves can sprint up to 40 miles per hour at long distances, so your chances of outrunning one are impossible. And when there's a pack, there is strength in numbers. Kenton didn't stand a chance.
When a predator sees a potential prey animal begin to run, it's a clear indication that this is either a scared or a very vulnerable animal. And that's the point.
So that's the point where he became prey to them?
Yeah, I think so.
Kenton's death was the first reported wild wolf fatality in North America in more than a century. But wolves tend to avoid humans, so why were these wolves so close to the mining camp?
Kenton Carnegie was found dead 2 years ago in the northern part of the province. Documents obtained by the CBC show that lax environmental regulations may have played a role in the tragedy.
Points North is an isolated location. There's a lot of wildlife in the area, and there was an unlicensed dump on Crown land that had been known to draw predators in. The province has a role in this. They're supposed to regulate dumps in the north, so they're going to have an airing on that front.
During the winter months, when food is scarce, the wolves' appetite appeared to outweigh their fear of humans. But there was a sighting of wolves in the area just days before Kenton was killed. It's possible that Kenton would not have gone out on his own if this sighting had been taken more seriously. 3 days after Kenton's death, 2 wolves were shot by wildlife officers. Inside the stomach of one of the wolves was hair and material that may or may not belong to a human. A fence was placed around the landfill, hoping to reduce the likelihood of wildlife entering the camp. But wolves aren't only a threat in isolated areas. The opportunistic hunters have been known to go after unsuspecting campers in national parks.
And I could see that his cheek was totally torn through. I just kind of stopped and said, "Oh my God."
On August 17th, 1996, the Delventhals, a family of 5 from Pittsburgh, were reaching the end of their 9-day canoe trip in Algonquin Park, Canada. After setting up shop for the night, Tom took his 2 eldest sons, Zach and Elijah, canoeing. His wife, Tracy, stayed with their youngest, Willem. Little did they know, a wolf was stalking their campsite, just waiting for an opportunity to strike.
The forest around the site was really thick. You couldn't see into the forest at all. And I heard something and just saw the side of something.
Tom and the boys ran into a group of scouts who told them they had seen a wolf in the area earlier. The Delventhals joined in as the group started howling and heard a lone wolf howl back.
When you howl, you let the pack know that you are another wolf and you're encroaching on its territory.
With a clear night sky, the family slept under the stars in their sleeping bags. As they drifted asleep, the unimaginable happened. A wolf attacked Zach and started dragging his body into the woods with its jaws clamped down on the 12-year-old's face.
It felt like I was sort of strapped to the front of his neck. Everything started rushing by really, really quickly, and that was the point when I woke up.
Zach's scream from the agonizing pain scared the wolf off and got the attention of his parents.
It was one long, ripping scream. It was blood curdling.
As Zach's parents rushed over, Tracy went to help her son, while Tom focused on the looming threat of the wolf.
I was being as big as I could be and as loud as I could be.
Wolves are often scared of humans, and by appearing large and threatening, you increase your odds of fending one off. The wolf retreated for a moment. Tom turned his attention to his son. Once he saw the damage, he knew Zach needed immediate medical attention. Except the wolf wasn't done. Hungry and desperate, it attempted to come toward the family again. Now, using his canoe paddle to strike his son's attacker, Tom did everything he could to defend his family. With time running out and the wolf backing away a second time, the family quickly rushed into their canoe and attempted to make their way back to the mainland.
I thought about dying, so I was just sort of peacefully lying in the boat and figured I could slip away now and it would be easy.
After canoeing to a nearby camp, they desperately needed to get to a hospital. Unfortunately, it was another 4 hours away, but they made it. Following a 4-hour surgery and over 80 stitches to close up his wounds, Zach slowly recovered from the attack. Park rangers decided the wolf posed a threat to other campers and lured it near the Delventhal campsite. Once spotted, they shot and killed the 55-pound predator. If you ever find yourself in a situation where a wolf is biting down on your head, your best chance of survival is fighting with everything you've got. With a bite force of more than 400 psi, survival may seem unlikely, but it's possible. Just ask Noah Graham, who dealt with the worst headache of his life thanks to a wolf.
I didn't hear the wolf coming, I didn't see it, just no sense at all that it was there until it was actually on my head.
On August 24th, 2013, Noah Graham went camping with his girlfriend and 4 others at Camp Winnibigoshish in Minnesota. The group had set up their tents and were hanging out until about 3 a.m. when everyone but Noah and his girlfriend decided to get some rest. Just like the Delventhal family, the couple opted to sleep outside without a tent. I'm starting to think that camping without a tent is a bad idea. Gazing at the stars, they talked for over an hour when, mid-sentence, Noah felt something bite down onto his head. Whether it was instinct or desperation, Graham reached back and squeezed the wolf's face, pulling his head out and away from its mouth. He was now free, but the danger of a potentially rabid wolf was only a few feet from him and his girlfriend.
I thought for sure it was gonna come back at me, and that's the scary part.
Coming from a family of hunters, Graham knew he needed to do his best to intimidate the predator. He started kicking and screaming while calling for help, which thankfully was enough to scare away the wolf. Nevertheless, the damage was severe, and the 16-year-old needed to get to a hospital immediately. After a 45-minute drive to the ER, Graham received 17 staples in his head and rabies shots to be safe. The wolf was caught, and a rabies test fortunately came back negative. However, the park rangers were also interested in something else: the wolf's jaw.
Investigators say the wolf had an unusual jaw, possibly making it hard for the animal to hunt.
It was basically kept it from acting as a normal wolf would.
This could be why this particular wolf was acting so aggressively. Jaw pain sucks. Following the incident, Graham said he'll still go camping, but likely won't be sleeping outside of his tent anymore. And you may think a tent will protect you from a wild wolf, but that's not always the case. In August of 2019, Matt Rispoli, his wife Elisa, and their 2 young children were camping in Banff National Park, situated in Alberta, Canada. It was a nice family trip, until
things nearly took a tragic turn when a wolf crept into their tent while they were sleeping. It was like something out of a horror movie, the New Jersey mom described in a now viral Facebook post.
While Matt and the wolf were wrestling, Russ Fee, who was at a neighboring campsite, heard cries for help. At first, he didn't think it was anything to worry about.
It sounded like they might be missing a kid, or we just heard kid over and over again. And my wife had asked me if we should go help, and I just figured we'd wait a second to hear a bit more.
After both Matt and Elisa began yelling, Russell ran over.
When I arrived, the tent had been collapsed, and there was just the back half of a wolf sticking out the front of it.
Acting on adrenaline, Russ kicked the wolf in the back. It whimpered out of the tent, and a few seconds later, so did Matt, who was severely injured.
He was in pretty rough shape. He had some pretty obvious gashes on his arm, but yes, he had blood mostly down the one side of his entire body.
Desperate, Matt grabbed tent rods to scare the wolf off, while Russell picked up nearby rocks and started throwing them in the wolf's direction. It backed down, but its appetite wouldn't let it leave. The wolf continued to circle around the family. To avoid being ambushed, they continued to track it with their lights, but knew Matt needed to get to a hospital. Russ brought everyone to his campsite, where he and his wife loaded the family into their car and started bandaging the bleeding father's arm. The wolf remained a threat though, especially with Russ's kids still in their tent.
We heard my wife scream, and we looked around, and the wolf had actually followed us back onto our site. It was now next to our tent with our kids in it. So we were able to, one last chase, one last run at it.
Their last attempt to scare the wolf away worked, and the Fees got their kids into their car and rushed Matt to a nearby hospital. He suffered puncture wounds and cuts on his arms and hands, but fully recovered. Russ Fee was awarded Canada's Medal of Bravery in 2020, and he stays in touch with the Rispolis, who call him a guardian angel. As for the wolf, it was tracked down and killed. Tests for rabies came back negative, and it was determined it was older, in poor condition, and nearing the end of its life, which officials believe may have led to the unusual attack. Fending off one wolf is hard enough, while a pack is likely impossible. Their size, power, and strength in numbers are usually enough to overwhelm us. As we mentioned before, wolf attacks on people are very rare. Each of these cases were outliers, and when wolf attacks do happen, they're usually due to starvation, disease, or a lack of fear due to frequent human contact. It may seem crazy, but dogs are statistically much deadlier to humans than their wild cousins. And if they don't kill you, they can certainly leave you with life-altering injuries. Just ask Jacqueline Durand. We did a deep dive into her story on the deadliest dog attacks, so check that out. We'll see you next time on How to Survive.